While cleaning the house one afternoon, Mary found an old photo album under the bed. She sat on the floor and opened it slowly. The pictures showed her and John in their early days, smiling at the beach, holding hands at the park, laughing with powdered faces on their small wedding day. She touched one picture gently. "We were so happy," she whispered. As she flipped through the pages, she saw a small envelope tucked between the pages. It was a card John had written years ago on their second anniversary. "You are my treasure, Mary. No matter what happens, I'll always choose you." Mary's eyes filled with tears. That message felt like a whisper from the past, reminding her of what she had thrown away chasing shadows. She hugged the album to her chest and cried. She didn't know how to fix everything, but she now knew what mattered. Love, not money. On Sunday morning, Mary dressed up and walked into the living room where John was reading. "Can we go to church together today?" she asked. John looked up, surprised. It had been months since she last showed interest. "Yes," he said with a smile. They walked hand in hand, and people noticed. In church, Mary couldn't stop the tears. When the pastor spoke about forgiveness, she felt the words deep inside. She had judged John, blamed him, and hurt him, but he never turned his back on her. When they got home, she said, "I need to change, John." "Not for you, but for myself." John held her close. "Change is a journey, Mary. I'll walk it with you." For the first time in a long while, they felt like a team again. That evening, Mary brought John a small box. "It's nothing big," she said shyly. John opened it and saw a wristwatch, not expensive, but neat and thoughtful. Inside the box was a note. "Time can't go back, but I hope we can move forward." John smiled and wore the watch immediately. "It's perfect," he said. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small keychain he had been saving. It had both their names on it. "I was waiting for the right time to give you this," he said. Mary took it, tears in her eyes. "Thank you." They didn't need big things to feel close again. Small acts, honest words, and a quiet heart were slowly bringing them back to love. Linda came over that weekend. She looked surprised when she saw Mary and John sitting together laughing over a movie. "Wow," she said. "What happened here?" Mary smiled. "I opened my eyes." Linda looked at her closely. "And the man?" "He's gone. I blocked him." Linda nodded. "You look happier." Mary held John's hand. "I am." After Linda left, John turned to her. "I'm proud of you." Mary shook her head. "I'm ashamed of what I did, but I'm glad I still have a chance to make things right." John hugged her. "We all make mistakes. What matters is what we do after them." That night, they sat outside under the stars. The night was cool, and the sky was full of tiny lights. Mary leaned her head on John's shoulder. "I feel like I'm falling in love with you all over again," she said softly. John smiled. "Then let's do it right this time." He turned to her, and their eyes met. Slowly, he leaned in and kissed her. It was gentle, soft, and full of emotions, just like their very first kiss years ago. Mary held him tightly. "Thank you for waiting for me." John whispered, "Thank you for coming back." And under the stars, their love started again, this time stronger, wiser, and real. One morning, John woke up with an idea. He had been thinking about how to improve their life. He didn't want to be poor forever. He wanted more for himself, and for Mary too. Not to please her, but to build something together. "Mary," he said as they ate breakfast, "I want to start a small poultry farm at the back of the house." Mary looked surprised. "You want to raise chickens?" He nodded. "Yes. I've done the research. It's not big money at first, but it can grow." She smiled. "I'll help. I can learn too." John was shocked. "You'll help me?" Mary nodded. "Yes, I want to be part of it. This time, I want to build with you." John felt a warm joy in his chest. That moment was more precious than anything. It wasn't just a farm idea. It was proof that Mary had truly come back to him. That week, John and Mary bought chicks and built a small wooden coop behind their house. They cleaned the space, carried sand, and poured water together. They laughed when one chick ran between Mary's legs, making her scream and jump. The neighbors watched in surprise. Many of them had seen how bad things had gotten between the couple. Now they were smiling, working, and even holding hands again. At night, Mary rubbed her back and groaned, "My whole body is paining me." John laughed. "Hard work is sweet when you're doing it with love." Mary looked at him. "I never thought I would enjoy this, but I do. I really do." It wasn't a big house or a flashy car, but this small farm was something they built with their own hands, and that made it special. 3 months passed, and the chickens were grown. John and Mary sold their first batch to a local restaurant. The owner paid in cash, and when John counted the money, his eyes widened. "We made 600,000 naira, he shouted. Mary hugged him tightly. "This is only the beginning." They bought more feed, more chicks, and repaired part of their leaking roof with the money. Things were slowly changing, not in a sudden magical way, but step by step, with sweat, teamwork, and hope. Mary started dreaming again. But this time, her dreams were no longer about gold necklaces or fancy vacations. She dreamed of peace, love, and growth. And for the first time in a long while, her dreams included John. One afternoon, as Mary was feeding the chickens, she heard a voice behind her. "Well, look at you." She turned. It was the rich man, the one who had left her hanging. He wore sunglasses and leaned on his shiny car. "So this is the life you chose?" Mary stood tall. "Yes, and I'm happy." He laughed. "You could still come with me, you know. I can give you anything." Mary shook her head. "You had your chance, but you didn't want a woman. You wanted a toy." He stepped closer. "You'll regret this." "No," she said with a smile. "I already regretted choosing you once. I won't do it again." John came out and stood beside her. The man looked at him and scoffed. Then he walked away, angry and embarrassed. Mary turned to John. "I chose you again." John smiled. "And I'll keep choosing you too." One Saturday, the community youth group gave John and Mary a small award. It was for most inspiring couple in the area. People clapped as they stood in front of the small crowd holding the wooden plaque. John spoke first. "We are not perfect, but we learned that love is not about what you have. It's about what you give." Mary nodded. "I once chased things that didn't matter, but I found something better, a man who never gave up on me." People clapped louder, some even cried. After the event, an old woman came up to Mary. She said, "You made a mistake, my daughter, but you turned around. That is true strength." Mary held the award close. She finally felt proud, not of what she wore or owned, but of who she had become. Late one night, Mary couldn't sleep. She stepped outside and sat on the bench under the mango tree. The moon was full and the wind was soft, but her heart felt heavy. She remembered the nights she used to reject John. She remembered the look in his eyes, the way he quietly turned away. Tears filled her eyes. John came out and saw her crying. He sat beside her and asked, "Are you okay?" Mary looked at him and said, "I'm sorry, John, for everything, for how I treated you, for how I made you feel like you weren't enough." John held her hand. "It's okay. We've moved forward." "No," she said. "You forgave me, but I needed to say it. From my heart. I hurt you. I was wrong." John looked at her and smiled softly. "Then I accept your apology, and I still love you." Mary rested her head on his shoulder, and they sat in silence. Sometimes healing comes not just from change, but from facing the past and letting it go. Months passed. The poultry business grew. They now had over 200 birds. John trained 2 young boys in the neighborhood and gave them jobs. Mary kept records in a book and handled orders from buyers. People began calling them Mr. and Mrs. Chicken. They laughed at the name, but they were proud of what they had built. One small idea had become something big. Mary now wore simple clothes, but she walked with her head high. She had peace, she had love, and she had purpose. John would sometimes watch her from afar, smiling as she worked. She was not the same woman who once refused to be touched. She was better, stronger, wiser, and full of love. One Sunday morning, a car parked in front of their house. A well-dressed woman stepped out. It was Linda. Mary hugged her with a big smile. "You came!" Linda looked around and laughed. "Wow, you people have a farm now?" Mary nodded proudly. "Yes, and we love it." They sat under the tree, talking for hours. Linda confessed, "I'm no longer with that rich man. He cheated on me with 3 women." Mary was shocked. "I'm so sorry." Linda shrugged. "It's fine. I wanted a rich life, but I forgot about peace. You're lucky, Mary. You have what money can't buy." Mary looked at John from afar. "I almost lost it, but God gave me another chance." Linda smiled. "I hope I find what you have one day." They hugged tightly before Linda left. That visit reminded Mary just how far she had come. One evening, John brought out a photo frame. Inside was their wedding picture, now cleaned and looking new. "I want us to hang this again," he said. Mary looked at it and smiled. "Let's put it in the sitting room." As they nailed it to the wall, she looked at him and said, "This time, I'll protect this love. I won't let anything come between us again." John nodded. "Me too." They stood back and admired the picture. It was old, but now it felt fresh again, just like their love. That night, they prayed together. They thanked God for lessons, for mercy, and for another chance. Then they held each other tightly, not as strangers, but as 2 people who chose love again. Mary sat with a young woman in the neighborhood. The girl had just gotten married and came to her for advice. "What's your secret, Auntie Mary?" the girl asked. Mary smiled. "There's no secret. Just don't let greed blind you." She continued, "Love is not about big cars or gold necklaces. It's about respect, patience, and growing together. I almost lost my marriage because I wanted more. But the truth is I already had everything I needed." The young lady nodded slowly. As Mary watched her walk away, she felt proud. Her pain had become someone else's lesson. She went back inside where John was making tea. "Who was that?" he asked. "Just someone I shared my story with," Mary said. He smiled. "You're touching lives now." Mary nodded. "Yes, because once I was blind, but now I see." And as they sipped their tea and laughed, it was clear. Love had won. Not flashy love, not selfish love, but real, deep, growing love. And that was more than enough.